Welcome to your in-depth astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 25th of November. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, then on screen share the event chart right at the start of the week. As ever, that gives us a lot of information. Then as influences come in, I'll go through each of those, then share each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces to give you a flavour of what to expect in terms of the ascendant, sun or the moon. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for joining us. This is very much a community. Please help us to grow the channel by clicking the subscription button, but also the bell notification symbol. Please also check out your year 2025 deep dive video forecast. The link for that is underneath this video. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your zodiac, general, love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. Or if you'd like to have a one-to-one with me, I am a consulting astrologer. Please also see my testimonials below. I don't edit these, I share them as is. Now this week is going to see Mercury go into its retrograde on Tuesday. But you know, the real significance of this is that the year began with Mercury in Sagittarius, where it is now, in retrograde, but it was very close to the thrust-in energies of Mars, but both were squared off to Neptune. So this has been a year of shimmering communications, but also some very confusing communications. And we know that Mercury going retrograde can slow things down. Also, Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius is detrimented. Why? Mercury is about fast communication. The sign of Sagittarius is about the big picture, can be about philosophy, so the two don't quite marry. But it certainly can help us to think again about some of our travel plans. If we are going through any kind of litigation or contractual matters, we may need to examine the details very carefully. And because the Sun, newly arrived in Sagittarius, arcs into an amazing link with Mars for the most part of this week, peaking on Wednesday, our desire to expand and be very dynamic is very strong, which could give us a tendency to rush. And that can be a problem with Mercury retrograde, particularly as it goes opposite Jupiter, also in retrograde, also in detriment by the end of the week. So that potential to overpromise is something we should all be very conscious of avoiding. Then as the week draws to a close, we have that Sagittarius New Moon, the first day of December, but that's squared off by Saturn. So once again, the enthusiasm, the passion that comes from a fire new moon needs to be tempered by what it means in a more emotional context, which is that Piscean energy. So on the screen now, I'm showing the event chart right at the start of the week. Let's just take a look at the two luminaries. We know that the Sun is in Sagittarius and it's linking back brilliantly, you can see, to Mars, which as the Sun goes forwards reaches that peak on Wednesday. But look at the Moon. The Moon's in the precise sign of Virgo, very much to do with precision. And it's coming out of a quarter moon, and that quarter moon could have seen us perhaps conflicted a little bit about the things we wanted to do for ourselves in terms of freedom and the things that we had to do with responsibilities and obligations. But the moon at this juncture, as we go into the new week, is not only bringing that quarter moon energy into this new week, it's also in an opposition to Neptune. So there can be a sense of unreality that's created by that. However much we try to focus on the detail of situations, our subconscious could be having quite an effect. But you can see that Venus and Saturn are in an excellent link as this week begins. Venus in Capricorn is more businesslike. It's asking us to think very carefully about our relationship situation. It is emerging from the exact sextile to Saturn. But if there is a relationship that's going well in our lives, that can be a very positive development. Also, of course, Pluto is just finding its way back in the sign of Aquarius and is still in touch with the position of the Sun. So it is on the whole a very dynamic start to the week. But as I mentioned before, on Tuesday, Mercury goes retrograde, which will go on through to the 15th of December. It starts this retrograde at 22 degrees. So if you have got any planets at 22 degrees, particularly in Sagittarius, but perhaps also in the other mutable signs, which would be Gemini itself, Virgo, and also Pisces, you may feel the energy of this Mercury retrograde more keenly. But as I mentioned, Mercury retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius is something we were given right at the start of 2024. We see a lot of claims. I think how we can work with this Mercury retrograde is to scrutinise the detail. Mercury isn't just about fast communication through its influence of Gemini, but also through precision of its influence through Virgo. But the sign of Sagittarius can be very proud. It can be at times very prideful, sometimes quite dogmatic. So it's important to stay in touch with those finer facts, because that's going to keep us grounded. But if you're very clear on your strategy, the enormously potent link between the Sun and Mars, which peaks up on Wednesday, is terrific if you are wanting to do something that is more expansive and really demonstrate your flair and something you're very enthusiastic about. The Sagittarius New Moon, as this week comes to a close, is very much about having optimism, having hope. But as I mentioned, that Saturn position is something we can't just ignore, because Saturn in the long grass of the 12th sign of Pisces is just teaching us some lessons about staying in touch with our deeper feelings, our psychological welfare, and also being aware of the consequences of whatever we are trying to achieve. So if you are feeling very flamboyant and buccaneering about something, just temper it by considering what the potential downside might be, particularly as we know that Mercury retrograde can throw up some glitches and some snares. But equally, it's a chance to rethink, reset, recalibrate in a much more positive way. Please stay with me as I go through each of the 12 zodiac signs from Aries through to Pisces for more. So Aries, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast begins in brilliant fashion. Mars, your ruling planet, in the sign of Leo, where you can showcase your charisma to its fullest extent, is linking by Wednesday in a perfect angle to the Sun in the fire sign of Sagittarius. So the fire tropicity, which is where you can show your passion to the fullest degree, is really accentuated. Also Pluto, now back in the part of your chart very much to do with your future plans, your connections and network, is also in touch with the Sun as this week begins. However, Mercury's retrograde does suggest from Tuesday that managing the detail of whatever you want to achieve is going to be important. But you know, if you do encounter something that creates a little bit of a roadblock for all this thrust, just take it in your stride, because by the end of this week, Mercury and Jupiter itself in a retrograde go into an opposition. As long as you're aware of your constraints, it's possible that you may rethink or have a conversation which helps you to rethink something that is really important to you, but this can help you to just finesse what it is you're trying to achieve, but in a very positive and dynamic way. Now, the new moon, which occurs on Sunday, also is a chance to expand, to be more adventurous, to be more spontaneous, but it does forge a broad right angle to Saturn. And since March 2023, you have had two competing energies coexisting. Saturn's been asking you to be conscious of the more psychological sphere and also seeing some parts of your situation wind down, but two eclipses in your sign, and there's going to be a third one in March, and the North Node have been asking you to be very positive about the plans that are really exciting you in the here and now. So if you're just conscious of those two competing energies, you can use the expansive vibe of this new moon to focus on the parts of your situation which are gaining traction. And that can help you to really make a mark this week in the most incredibly positive of ways. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Taurus, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast suggests there could be some parallel energies going on in your situation. If you're fortunate enough to be working closely with another person, whether it's a business partner, a friend, or a romantic partner, and you really feel that both parties are fully committed and invested, it can get deeper and stronger. But you know, the converse can be true, because the quarter moon at the end of last week can make you much more conscious if you feel that your passion, flair and creativity and even joy for life is in some ways being conditioned by the other person's possessiveness or even control. And Mercury going retrograde on Tuesday can see you do a lot of soul searching right through to the middle of December. But there are opportunities, particularly around your financial situation, because although Mercury is going retrograde in the sector of long-term finance, Jupiter, the planet of opportunity, also in retrograde, is priming up your short-term financial situation. And you may find out this week, perhaps by doing some deeper research, a new or fresh way of using your resources in a more efficient manner. In fact, with the Sun forging a fantastic link with Mars on Wednesday, if you did want to do something around a property matter, whether it was push a rental over the finishing line, perhaps buy a property, or perhaps push on with a renovation, your energy to make progress with this is going to be very strong. But the new moon, which occurs on Sunday and the 1st of December, is in some ways checked off by the more restraining energies of Saturn. And that's saying to you, if you don't see a long-term future in whatever you're trying to do, whether it's a business idea, whether it is an enterprise that's ongoing at the present time, that's perhaps facing some headwinds, or it is more in that close relationship, you may have to be very realistic, because being all in when someone else is not all in is not a great place to be. And that's where Mercury's retrograde could see you thinking very carefully what to do. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Gemini, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast begins with a dynamic link between Mars, the planet of drive, passion and assertion in the part of your situation to do with the quick exchange of ideas, linking brilliantly to the sun in your sector of relating. Now, if there was someone that you were really drawn towards, this would give you an extra slice of confidence. However, if there's something that you need to share with people, particularly in a professional situation, there is a little bit of a challenge this week. Mercury retrogrades can give us the chance to rethink and reset in a positive way, but they can create some cross wires. And because Mercury retrogrades in your 7th house, that is about relationships, but it's also about open enemies as far as traditional astrology is concerned. So there may be someone you need to deal with this week who's scrutinizing what you're doing. They know that you're a very skilled, even consummate communicator, and that some people will really find that very compelling. But they could be looking for some small detail. And because of Mercury being in an opposition with Jupiter towards the end of this week, if you're tempted to over egg the pudding, try a little bit too hard, it could actually be counterproductive, particularly in terms of your professional situation, because Saturn has been asking some quite testing questions since March 2023 in terms of your connection to the world at large. There may have been greater responsibilities, you may have had greater success. But how you come across or how people perceive you, particularly in a relationship dimension, could be something that's highlighted by that new moon, which occurs on Sunday and squares up with Saturn. And particularly if in a personal relationship, a partner feels, whether you feel they're right is another matter, that you tend to have some kind of control, or you have to dominate the situation, because essentially with the Sun and also Mercury in your 7th house, it's all about trying to find an equilibrium between what you want and they want, and that sweet spot in the middle can be elusive for us all at times. So this is a week which can be dynamic, can be positive, but do be very cautious about what you say, because it will potentially be something that other people will be looking at with great care. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Cancer, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast could see you going through something of a retrospective, but particularly about some of life's more practical strands, whether it's about your work, whether it's about some of your approaches to diet and fitness, whether it's about your daily routines. And it's not just because Mercury goes retrograde in those areas. It's because Mars is applying to the Sun. So past skills, knowledge or experiences, or even someone who was an authority, perhaps an old boss, could be in touch or could come up in your thinking, and that can help you to make some amendments or changes which can be very constructive in your current situation. Also, as Mercury goes into an opposition with Jupiter, the more spiritual dimension of your situation is also going to inform the type of decisions you make. But as the week draws to a close, that new moon in Sagittarius certainly is pushing you to think about how you can reorder things. Now, this may seem a little bit surprising because part of your great gift is managing things very effectively. But sometimes we do go through some kind of reset, and I feel that the Mercury retrograde plus Mars in your 12th house is an opportunity to get in touch with a deeper part of your needs and make some positive even if small, amendments to your situation, which taken in the whole can actually be really significant. But one of the things I would say is if you are trying to be more virtuous and more caring about your own needs, just be aware of the commitments you make to other people, because someone could compete for your attention over the next month from the end of this week and perhaps be used to you taking more of the slack, showing more leadership, and you will, because of Saturn's position to the new moon, find yourself perhaps having to say no. So it is a time to be a little bit more single-minded about your welfare and needs. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. Your week commencing the 25th of November forecast, Leo, sees Mars, the action planet, the planet of passion, which has been emboldening you since the 4th of November, forging a truly dynamic link with the Sun in your sister fire sign of Sagittarius. All this fire energy, flame up, can be enormously positive for you, particularly if you have some clear objectives that you want to take action around. Now, because Mercury goes retrograde on Tuesday, also in the sign of Sagittarius, things might not go exactly as you expect. But the key here is to be open to flex. The sign of Sagittarius is a mutable sign, so it's actually very good for that. You're a little bit more focused on things you're more familiar with. But if you can go into the situation which is inspiring you, and just be aware that there could be some areas that you may just need to move on. Once Mercury comes into an opposition with the planet of fortune Jupiter towards the end of the week, you may find yourself rethinking a situation, or gaining more information, or talking to someone from your past, and actually be grateful that things are going to be moving in a slightly different way. Once we get to the new moon on Sunday, you can set your intentions on the thing that's really inspiring you the most in a very fulsome way. Just be mindful, of course, with Saturn applying to that a little bit broadly in your sector of shared finance or long-term investment. If you are wanting to do something that's more speculative, you do need to just make sure that your financial planning is really acute. But in terms of your personal expression, showcasing your personality and charisma, this is an absolutely sensational week. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. A week commencing the 25th of November forecast, Virgo, sees Mercury, your ruler, go into a retrograde on Tuesday, which goes through to the middle of December. But it will be in its post-retrograde shadow period right through to the early part of January, the 3rd. Now for you, it's in the sign of Sagittarius, but your 4th house. Sagittarius energy is very much about space and freedom, but the 4th house is to do with where we live, how we live there, and who with. It's also about our emotional world. But Mercury and the 4th house don't necessarily blend together that well, because what we can tend to do is think about things, very Mercury, but not necessarily find it quite so easy to share, because the 4th house is quite an emotional area, akin to the energy of Cancer. Now, if you have been thinking about working from home, starting a small business, the fact that Mars in your 12th house links dynamically to the Sun, also in Sagittarius, at the heart of this week, suggests you could actually use Mercury's reprise in a very positive way. And I must stress, Mercury retrogrades are not all bad. But with Christmas racing up, it does seem to be a possibility that there could be changes of plan, but it may be you that suddenly wants to alter things. However, towards the end of this week, Mercury does go into an opposition with Jupiter. Now that can be a very generous opposition, and when it comes to those Christmas gifts, it could see you tempted to go beyond your budget. But the new moon, which occurs on Sunday, does link broadly with Saturn in your sector of relating. And you know, probably the most important thing at this time is to be in touch with how things feel. And even if Mercury can see you overthink perhaps, or perhaps circulate thoughts around your mind, that link between the new moon and Saturn suggests that maybe when it comes to your boundaries or getting people more aware of how you're really feeling, this is going to be an important month ahead. And in a way, Mercury's retrograde can be very, very positive if it helps to see you revise, reset, or readjust to a changing situation in your home or emotional world. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Libra, your week commencing the 25th of November does have some contrasts. You can be the consummate communicator, often use subtlety or diplomacy to make your point. But if you're really passionate about something, and it could be a group of friends, it could be a long-term plan, Mars in your 11th house, very much to do with your network, and linking to the Sun exactly on Wednesday, gives you a supreme opportunity to punch across your vision with a great deal of authority and confidence. But Mercury, the planet of communication, goes into a retrograde on Tuesday, which goes on through to the middle of December. And details which Mercury does influence, it's not just about those fast interactions through its rulership of Gemini. The precision of its rulership of Virgo is something you do need to be mindful of. And the reason for that is that as much as the big picture may seem very exciting, how you're perceived, how you come across, could be misunderstood. So the extra self-confidence and thrust that the Sun and Mars give you needs to be tempered with just staying very mindful of exactly how you impart what you need to say. However, the opposition between Mercury and Jupiter towards the end of this week is going to make your bubbliness irrepressible. However, the new moon on Sunday, the 1st of December, does angle to Saturn. Saturn can be about restraints and boundaries. It is in your 6th house. Again, very much to do with precision. So whatever it is you're feeling very inspired about, invested in and excited by, whether it's a plan, project or person or group of people, just be mindful of those details, and that will help you to make the most of this week. Set yourself up for a big thrust forwards, but also make the most of it by making sure that you're attending to all the smaller strands, which are also going to be very important too. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Scorpio, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast sees a dynamic link between your traditional ruler Mars and the passionate energies of the Sun in your second house. The second house can be about money. The 10th house, where Mars is, can be about ambitions and goals. Mars has been giving you extra thrust and encouragement since the 4th of November. If there is something that you've been working towards, perhaps cultivating a new client, doing some presentations, or reaching out for a job, you could have a major breakthrough right at the heart of this week. But it is going to be important to be mindful of the details. Mercury, like the Sun in your second house, goes retrograde from Tuesday. Now, if you are buying things, perhaps online, to do with Christmas in particular, through to the middle of December, do make sure that you keep all the details of whatever transaction you have. And when it comes to this big push that you're going through, you may just need to use all of your shrewd energies, which is a big part of your nature, to scrutinize any offers that come your way. Indeed, by the end of this week, even though your inclination can be to get beneath the surface and get into the detail of what people mean, the opposition between the retreating Mercury and the retreating Jupiter could heighten your anticipation and hope for some kind of financial uplift. Now, that's not misplaced, but it is all about those details. In fact, the new moon, which occurs on the 1st of December, Sunday, again giving you a lot of encouragement to set your intentions around improving your lot, and also focusing on your self-worth, because the more you feel good about yourself, the more you're going to attract goodness. But if you are wanting to do something more speculative with your resources and money over the following month, just be aware that the more restraining energy of Saturn is just saying to you that if you're too gung-ho in your approach, which would be uncharacteristic, it might not be for the best. So be confident, be bold, but keep an eye on those details. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So, Sagittarius, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast sees a hugely dynamic link between Mars in your 9th house, evoking the core energies of your sign, linking back to the Sun in Sagittarius, that peaks on Wednesday. This really can give you a lot of thrust. It can also help to recharge your vitality. But of course, Mercury does go retrograde in your sign. How do you balance the two contrasting energies? Well, just by understanding that Mercury going retrograde isn't all bad. It may be that you are going to change your mind about certain plans that you had, but if you do, it's going to be the outcome point which is really critical. And that's going to be not when Mercury goes direct in the middle of December, but on the 3rd of January when it emerges from its post-retrograde shadow. So as long as you're philosophical about that and invest your energy in the here and now about what you are sure of, you can take a giant step forwards. Also, when it comes to your relationship prospects, Mercury goes opposite Jupiter towards the end of this week. It's a repetition because Jupiter is also in retrograde. Jupiter, your ruler, is giving you the chance potentially to think more dynamically about your connections to others right through to June the 9th next year. So this opposition is where Mercury's retrograde can come back to you. It could be where you revise or reappraise a person or a situation, and you could find that actually there's a lot to gain from reconnecting to them. Now the new moon, a once in a year opportunity on the Sunday, the 1st of December, is really asking you to focus on what's really important to you as an individual, what you want to start now, or where ongoing strands need an extra blast of enthusiasm. But it is in some ways conditioned by the more moderating energies of Saturn. But what Saturn's been showing you since March 2023 is that it's important to stay in touch, closely in touch with how you feel. So this is a week which is primed up for action, progress, and a lot of drama, but just stay in touch with details, Mercury, but also your inner voice, Saturn. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Capricorn, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast sees Mercury, the planet of communication, go into a retrograde in the tender 12th house. If you're someone with a big appreciation of healing, reflection, meditation and rest, this is a great opportunity to just slow things down a little bit, take a breath and give yourself permission to just withdraw. Let the events of the last year gently percolate through you. But there could be another situation with Mars in your 8th house, which can be very passionate, linking to the Sun in your 12th. Maybe there's someone from your past that you're drawn towards, and Mercury's retrograde could reconnect you. But whatever your situation, whether it is with an old flame or it is with people you used to work with, go to college with or school, the potential for some kind of reunion is very strong. In fact, you could feel hugely nostalgic through this week, but just be conscious that if you are going to help someone or support someone, perhaps by covering for them at work, doing something around childcare, some kind of good will that you show, particularly with Mercury and Jupiter in opposition towards the end of this week, you might not get the level of appreciation that you would like. In fact, Sunday's new moon in the sign of Sagittarius does clash with your ruler Saturn. This suggests that you should just be more conscious of who is really for you and perhaps who could be your more fair weather friends. Now, as you come into this week, you may have had some real reassurance because Venus in your sign connected brilliantly to your ruler Saturn as last week came to a close. But I think you are entering a period of the year, perhaps even of your life, when you are going to become more discerning about who you open up to. This is not a time to be very vulnerable to the wrong people. Yet if it's to the right person, you could gain a lot. So if you are talking to someone like a life coach, a counsellor, or someone who really cares about you, the insights you gain could be hugely enriching. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Aquarius, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast brings sharply into focus that part of your nature that can be very future orientated, whether it's trends around music, fashion, politics, just what goes on in society. You often have a keen nose for how things are developing. But there's another part of your nature that can also be very invested in what you're really familiar with. And that comes from your co-ruler Saturn. Now Saturn is going to be influential this week, but so is Mars. Mars is punching away in your 7th house, making you more assertive around how you present yourself. But it does link very dynamically to the Sun on Wednesday exactly, but all through the week. If there is something you're working on that's collaborative, there could be a major breakthrough. But with Mercury going retrograde on Tuesday, you could also find yourself reconnecting with some important people from your past, or perhaps thinking very carefully about what you want from that future. And the thinking could go on through to the middle of December with the retrograde, or beyond through to the 3rd of January because of the post-retrograde shadow. So it just depends on where you are in your exact situation. But one of the things your traditional ruler has been asking you to do since March 2023 is to define your values, what you stand for, your self-worth, but also become more conscious of your attitude to finance. And it's angled to the new moon on the 1st of December on Sunday suggests that however much you do want to go for things, perhaps in a very fair way, perhaps in a very friendly way, perhaps even in a somewhat idealistic way, it needs to be tempered with the realism of the world as it is, and also your more practical circumstances. So if you are developing a new plan with that Mercury retrograde, do keep an eye very much on that Saturn influence. It will help you to keep things real. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap reports, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more. So Pisces, your week commencing the 25th of November forecast offers an amazing opportunity to take a step forwards around your worldly ambitions. The position of Mars since the 4th of November in your 6th house has given you more stamina, but also more thrust, and I hope more energy. But its link on Wednesday exactly to the Sun, cresting right at the top of your chart, gives you an opportunity to balance your drive and vitality, Mars, with your ambitions and goals. And if you are to have an interview, do a presentation, or want to do something with your own business, this can be a seminal moment. But you may be thinking, but what about Mercury also in my 10th house? Well, exactly. If you're not feeling very appreciated or respected by your current employer or organisation, Mercury's retrograde is an opportunity to think about things, to assess your options, to do some research, take soundings. Mercury retrograde doesn't always have to be a snag, but of course we know it can be a snag. What I would say is towards the end of this week, if someone did promise you a superb package with Mercury and Jupiter in opposition, these are the two planets of commerce and trade, it could be very flattering. But because of the retrograde, the need to scrutinise the detail will be very important. But the new moon, which occurs on Sunday, also in the sign of Sagittarius, also gives you an opportunity to set your intentions for those goals and ambitions, but it is conditioned by Saturn in your sign. And what that can do is see you just have a little failure of confidence, not quite believe that what you've got to offer is enough to go for that big or golden prize. Try to overcome that, Pisces. What Saturn's been asking you to do is simplify your life, help you to focus on what's really important. But if you are working in a situation where you feel your bosses or your employer is oppressive, demanding, and there's not much in it for you, that new moon and Mercury's retrograde is asking you to do something about it. You can also take advantage of your personal forecast offer for next year. If you order now, you will get the rest of this year free, but also you'll get my free gift of your Zodiac, General, Love, Chinese and Vedic forecast, as well as your personal life roadmap report, 30% off too. The personal reports are unique for each person they're produced for and will give you lots of brilliant information to guide your moves. Please check out below for more.